Welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest news. Coming up on today's episode, Thomas stays, but will Sangare be leaving Nottingham Forest? Turner apologises. The forgotten man O'Brien, no longer forgotten. And Wolves claim they move ahead in the race for Chay Adams. All this and plenty more coming up on your latest Forest news. Let's get into it. Good morning, good evening, or good night. Hope you guys are doing well and welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest news. We've got a lot to talk about today, so as always, if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new, and last couple of days to get the sign framed LED Forest kit signed by the team. It's a thing of beauty from Football Prizes. Links pinned in the comments, and you can scan this QR code. Let's do a question of the day for you as well. Get down in the comments. Which Forest player in all your years of watching Forest was your most frustrating player to watch? You've done your favourite player. Now let's see what the coolest answers you can come up with in the comments are. I'll let you know mine in tomorrow's video. Okay, let's get into this, and let's start with a player that does seem to frustrate a lot of people, and that is Sangare. And is he leaving Nottingham Forest? There have reports come out from Turkish outlets to say that Galatasaray are now interested in Sangare. And honestly, this is just hearsay right now. There's been no other real sourcing of this, no other talk, but the Forest fan base has exploded. And I actually have been quite pleased with the response from the few things I've seen on social media. And that is, a lot of people are now coming to my way of thinking and not Brucey's way of thinking, that Derby-born idiot who doesn't see the player in him. And it is going to happen next year. Sangare with a good preseason. By the way, Brucey, I know you're watching. Love you, bro. It was a joke. It was a joke. We know you're from Nottingham. But the player is going to come out to play and play to the expectations that I know he has in him. And there's more to it than that. Forest can't just sell him and hope to break even or make a profit or have him solve the PSR issues that we currently have. Because as we've explained to you with amortization and the PSR BS and all that stuff, for Sangare to be just break even, Forest would have to sell him for at least £24 million. And that would be break even. If Forest got the same money they paid for him, which is about 30 million. Anyway, I hear people saying that he cost us 40, 42. I've heard some people say 45. Where do some of these people get their numbers from? But for Forest to break even on him, 24 million, even if we sold him for what we bought him for, would make £6 million profit. And that would be nowhere near enough to get us out of the hole we are in. Therefore, selling Sangare for me is not a priority. We would actually be better off selling Sangare next year if he was still, not performing to what I expect him to perform. Remember, it would cost 30 million, divide that by 5, you get 6. If next year his amortization would be 18, so if you sold him at 25 million next year, you're looking at 7 million profit. But anyway, I don't believe these reports. I don't see the logic behind it. The only thing I would say on Sangare is he still doesn't look settled in Nottingham or at Nottingham. Either phrase should work, I think, technically in this. And I just think that the preseason and him being played in the right position with the right players around him will work really well for him. And we can see him come to the front. I get what people say about him. Look, I'm not blind, right? I have seen his poor performances this season. I am not completely I'm not Sangare FC here, man. It's Forest FC, Forest till I die. If he doesn't cut it, and I don't see any improvement in his performances by October time, etc., then bench him and get rid. I got no problems, man. I would get rid of Morgan Gibbs-White if he turned out to be crap for the next year. It's not going to be sentimental with me. It's about what's best for the team. But the other problem we still have is this position, though. If Sangare can't lock it down, we still need someone who does. Now, we have been linked with a couple, which we brought you last week. Nothing more has materialized from that. But at the moment, before Sangare goes, the point I'm getting to here is that position needs to be filled first. And that's the most important bit for me. Now, would he want to go to Galatasaray? Well, what we know about Sangare is he is quite lazy when it comes to languages. He still speaks French, very, very small amounts of English. In fact, even when he was in Holland, he still didn't really master the Dutch language. So to go to Turkey and try and master that language, and believe you me, man, that is a tough language. I mean, I don't even know any Turkish, but I get mistaken for a Turk when I go there. Fun fact for you. I don't know if he's going to want that lifestyle. Now, what he might like about Turkey is him being Muslim himself. Turkey is an Islamic country. Maybe that society would suit him quite nicely as well. But I just see the language barrier as being a bit of an issue for him. And I just want him to stay. I'll be honest with you. If he stays, he will perform. You have my guarantee on that, Brucey. So put your Sangare agenda to one side. But do you want him to go or stay? Let me know in the comments down below. Let's move on to the second story, and this is about Matt Turner and his apology after a woeful performance by the US of A as they held 5 to Colombia. I think it was 5-1 in the end. And Matt Turner came out in the press and apologized on behalf of the team. He said, let me read the quote out to you. Obviously disappointed in the way that we played, the way I played. Everyone needs to look in the mirror after that game and figure it out, because obviously they're not the level. That's not the level that's required to compete. We can't get too hung up, and we have a game in a couple of days, and it's important for us to be able to respond. When you look forward to the tournament, it's not always going to be perfect, and you have to figure out the ways to get the job done. Today, we didn't have any answers to the Colombian change. It's answers for the way Colombia changed themselves, changed the way they pressed, and they just had a different intensity about them. Blah, 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 blah. Don't care. I don't care. Where's our apology? That's my question. Where's the apology for the mess up you did against Spurs, for the mess up you did against Arsenal, for the mess up you did against Liverpool? All we got was you hiding behind Cooper's blouse. That's all we got. Why don't you man up and say the mistakes you did at Forest? Look, I've got no time for Turner. I've made that quite clear. He needs to go, and he probably is going back to the MLS. However, I am really annoyed with this performance, this 5-1 performance, because it doesn't help us with his sell-on value. I think for one of the goals, he got done at his near post terribly. And it's not going to really line up the suitors. Turner is turning into a real headache and a real problem. Blackademus, I think, will be able to sell quite easily. Maybe we won't be able to get all of the $4.5 million for him. But Turner should be, as still a first-choice international goalkeeper for a team that's being more and more recognised in world football, should be easy to sell. But with a 5-1 stuffing from Colombia, he's not doing himself, or more importantly, the zeros on his valuation any good. And right now that performance has probably knocked some off his valuation. So I need Turner to step up. And let me say this, even if Turner steps up and has the best Copa de America, or whatever the South America tournament is called, he still needs to go. He still needs to go. I hope he keeps clean sheets left, right and centre and makes no Turner blunders. And that way we can get rid of him for a decent price. He's got a good shop window coming up in this tournament, and he's got to make the most of it so he can find himself a new home. He still believes he's a #1 goalkeeper. He may be the only one on this planet who still believes he's a #1 goalkeeper. But while he has that belief, we have to get rid of him. Do you guys agree with me or not? Let me know in the comments down below. So let's move on to the forgotten man, Lewis O'Brien. Remember him? Yeah, he's still a Forest player. Finished from his loan period in the Championship, coming back to Forest and likely to be shipped out and potentially on a permanent deal this time. And I think that's a shame, because I still do think there's a decent player in Lewis O'Brien. I go back to the start of the first year we had, should I say, in the Premier League. In the first 2 months, for me, he was probably head and shoulders above a lot of the rest of the squad. Yes, he was unfavourably kicked out by Cooper, another one who was put into the bomb squad. But I do feel, in a way, we probably have recruited past him, and I'm ready to admit that. However, there is a Premier League team interested in him, or a newly promoted team, and that is Ipswich. And Ipswich will be looking to sign Lewis O'Brien, but they aren't the only ones. There are a couple of suitors, obviously Middlesbrough, where he was at, and Sheffield, who really want to get the likes of Lewis O'Brien and Joe Worrell onto their books. But with Ipswich coming up as potential front runners on Lewis O'Brien, Forest may see this as a good way to part company with him and get some decent money out of him. How much is he worth though, is the question. Forest bought him for a combined deal, a buy one get one free with Tuffalo of 10 million. But the breakdown of that was not made clear in the deal. We believe that Lewis O'Brien was probably about 5 or 6 million, and then Tuffalo 3 to 4 million, something like that is the breakdown. But I think Forest would be okay to sell him because the amortization on this is really low. Yes, it wouldn't be massive profits on him if we say got 4 or 5 million for him, but it's not one that would hurt the books. In fact, it would slightly help it. So if Lewis O'Brien goes, personally, I do think he's good enough for the bottom level Premier League. Probably Ipswich would suit him quite nicely, but I'd rather he went to Middlesbrough or maybe even Sheffield. Probably not Sheffield. Just because, how many times will an ex-player score against us? And could that be one of those scenarios? I don't want to see it happen. But it looks like Lewis O'Brien is going. What do you guys think of that? Let me know in the comments down below. And let's move on to my favorite story of the day. And that is Chay Adams. Wolves are now claiming to be the front runners in the battle to sign Chay Adams. I can't believe there's actually a battle for this player. And I'm not saying this with any joy. You guys know he's my number one choice, and I'm going to be so disappointed if Wolves beat us to the signing of Chay Adams. As a kid, I dreamed about Chay Adams coming to play for my club. I've already got posters on him superimposed into the Forest shirt. This is going to be heartbreaking for me if Wolves hijack this deal. Yeah, so Wolves, get it done. Get it done. But we'll keep you posted on it. That's the claim from Wolves. However, there's been no new claims really from the likes of Romano or any other people we've spoken to. But I have spoken to a few people on the Wolves side of this equation, and they all seem very confident that they're going to get Chay Adams. And I, of course, told them what a great player he was and they were doing the right thing. But have you changed your mind on Chay Adams? Let me know in the comments down below. And that brings you up to date with your latest Forest transfer news. If you've enjoyed the content and you haven't hit the like already, what are you waiting for, man? It's completely free to do. Thank you for getting us to 19k. Let's now push on to 20k. So make sure you're subscribed if you aren't already. Go grab your tickets for football prizes. We'll see you on the next video. Come on, you Reds.